So last week I talked about, a big issue that people are facing right now. And I mentioned, talking about something that's kind of related to what happened in the previous video. You guys have probably experienced that one time. When you go to school and your buddies are like just talking about, how life is outside of school. There's always going to be that one kid that's like, my parents let me stay up until like 3 in the morning or some crazy late time. And, they let them play games endlessly and stuff like that. Or maybe you're that one kid that's like, wow, I wish my parents would let me do this stuff. I definitely was, the second one, alright? That's how I felt. And somehow I got to 1 million subscribers, like, even in that situation. So I guess I'll tell you the experience. So early on in your life, whatever you've been exposed to at home is like what you consider normal, okay? Like if, you have like a strict bedtime at 8:30 p.m. every night, then that's like, considered normal for you because you never experienced anything else. And if you like are forced to do like XYZ things at XYZ specific time, that's what you do, alright? It's like, there's really nothing that like I see going wrong there because it's the only thing you've been exposed to, only thing you know what to do. So I had this really rigid schedule before I started school. It was like, just do certain stuff, go to like a, certain routine, follow it. I don't remember much of that stuff because it's, borderline when human memory first, actually solidifies and stuff. But what I do remember is the system was rigid enough and I didn't really care about like watching TVs and stuff like that. So I was pretty fine with it, okay? I didn't really have any other like non-school related stuff that my parents wanted me to do at that time. But whenever you do go to school, you meet a lot of other people, and these other people all grow up in like sometimes very different environment than you did. So what I would always mention is, how I had like a bedtime at like, the latest was like 9 p.m. I'd have to be in bed at least by 9:30, so like I'd have to like, clean up and like wrap up everything at 9. My parents would make me do like an after school program where like they give you like extra worksheets to do so you can like learn more content and everything. And that took up about like an hour or two after school, okay? Like school would end around 3 and get there at like 3:30, and then like my parents would pick me up at like 5:30. So yeah, about an hour, 2 hours, sometimes a bit more than that. So for the first part of elementary school, like up until like 3rd grade, I'm gonna say, it went pretty smoothly. Like everything, there wasn't really too many like bumps and stuff like that. But then around 3rd grade is when I overheard some people at lunchtime talking about this one thing that you may or may not know, and it's called Club Penguin. And from what I could tell, like all their like, tone and everything like that, they sounded like they had a really good time in Club Penguin. So I was like, I definitely need to see this for myself. A month or two before, like, this happened, my parents got a new computer. And, it was finally an upgrade over the single-core 1990s Pentium machine that we used to have. But here's the thing. My parents had no idea that, like, I even know about this thing called video games. They have no idea how to, like, properly control video games and stuff. So it was kind of like a big risk I was taking, one of the very, very early big risks. So one day I managed to gain access to a computer. How I managed to do so, I have no idea. It was probably like on the weekend and my parents just let us like do whatever. So I managed to get access to the computer and go to Club Penguin's website. And on Club Penguin's website, it asks for like the parents' email because obviously, it's designed for kids and kids technically aren't supposed to have emails. But I had one at the time. So I was like, you know what, I'll just use my email. What could possibly go wrong? Do they really have the systems to check that? I don't think so. So I used my own email, made the account, went in there, and I was like, holy crap, this thing is absolutely amazing. I just want to grind, man. But like at that time, I didn't call it grinding. I just wanted to like have fun, get a whole bunch of stuff inside of the game. So once they found out about me, liking all these games, they decided to set a time limit. A very reasonable and totally not extreme limit of 10 minutes. Not hours, minutes. So you guys are probably like, the heck? 10 minutes? That's literally, you can't even rob 2 stores in Jailbreak, okay? So yeah, at first I was like, at least I get to play. But as I got more involved in the game, things started taking a lot more than 10 minutes. And from there, it just doesn't go that well anymore. So later in like 4th, 5th grade, stuff like around then, I would hear about this game that you guys probably know as Minecraft. And it became really popular. This was like 2011 around that time. And one day someone showed me a video of what's now known as Creeper Aw Man. But back then it just seemed like some crazy cool thing. And it was like, wow, this game is really interesting. You can do all sorts of stuff in here. So I looked it up one day and I was like, this thing costs $30 to play. Yeah, there ain't any way I'm getting $30 to play Minecraft right now. So I basically just never had the chance to play Minecraft, especially when it was like really popular back then. So you know, over time I just learned more and more about like my classmates doing outside of school stuff like playing games and all this like fun stuff. Meanwhile, I'm over here with parents that are like, you know, you gotta go do this after school material, whatever you want to call it. And then, you know, they made me day cutter classes, the typical Asian parent, you know, piano lessons, swim lessons, and, you know, some whatever math and science stuff popped up, they wanted me to do it. And you can't forget the art class too. So you probably are like thinking, why didn't I just stop? The problem is, I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years, and my parents were like really insisting on, you know, just you gotta learn to push through stuff, even if it's stuff you really don't like. But you could probably tell, you know, at first I was like, you know, sure, they might suck, but maybe they're preparing me for middle school. Because I heard at school, you know, middle school is going to be more challenging than elementary school. There's going to be more coursework. So I was like, you know, I'll see if this coursework is actually going to translate into like what middle school is. So I go into middle school, and you know, the coursework at school, at least, is like the same, if not easier than elementary school. But then at middle school, here's the thing. People start caring a lot about social stuff. Like, a lot more. Like, if you watched my previous one, you could probably learn more about that. The thing is, my grades weren't even that bad. So I was like, you know, I wanted to try some, like, different way. I wanted the system to be less, like, just strict. At least the system we had at home. It was still very rigid. I believe, like, you know, they still had like 9 p.m. bedtime stuff. But then also at the same time I found out about like some mobile games, and I would like wake up super early to like sneak on my parents' phones to play some of the mobile games and everything like that. I did have like a tablet, but they wouldn't let me use it on certain days, especially like, you know, at 6 in the morning. Now you guys probably know middle school, they let you bring your own devices to school occasionally, okay? So like it was kind of a new concept. But then, like, eventually I managed to get, like, you know, my parents convinced to let me, like, bring the tablet to school, and I just play Clash of Clans, you know, at school over the school network with VPNs and everything that everyone does at school now. And around that time, in addition to all this gaming and stuff, I discovered the Lego robotics kit. I somehow managed to convince my parents to get one of those things, so I could, like, you know, build some stuff. And then a year later, the new version came out, and I got them to get me the new version as well. Maybe because they saw some form of, like, you know, science or some educational benefit to it that was, like, more than video games. So they were cool with me having it. And, like, you know, I could program them to do all sorts of funny stuff. And I just wanted to build, like, crazy contraptions. But here's the problem. I didn't have time to all the extra work. Like, all the extra classes and stuff. It just kept on, like, you know, taking up all the time. Like, I'd have activities like Monday through Thursday or something, maybe Monday through Friday, I don't exactly remember, but it was pretty much an entire week. Like, the weekdays were all decked out, and I didn't really have much time to, like, do any of my, like, stuff I enjoyed on the weekdays. So one day I thought about something. Just like 12-year-old me back then was like, if all the classes are outside of school, I could just leave them. So I was thinking of, like, ways to leave the classes. And, you know, typically, you know, the parent has to say, I want to withdraw the kid from the class. So I was thinking of a way to bypass that thing. Or maybe use that thing, but, like, kind of force them to withdraw. Because they were, like, very against me, like, withdrawing out of these classes. So guess what? I, one day, just got really fed up with all this stuff and initiate the plan. Boom. Alright, we're gonna start with the plan. And the plan goes something like this. Over the course of a few weeks or so, I would just, like, show some bit of negativity towards the event. You know, like, slowly, you know, just give messages to the people at the event that I didn't really like it anymore. And then one day, it would just go completely out of hand. Like, we would do something, and, like, the coach would get angry or something. I was just waiting for that one day to happen. And eventually it did happen. And I basically would reach my limit and just completely cause, like, a chaos. And what eventually happened was the people at the event would have to contact my parents and discuss it with them. And so it basically left my parents with, like, no choice, but with now, like, the people at the program and me, like, both saying we don't, like, it's not a best fit for me, like it was the only option for my parents to like withdraw me from the courses. So I eventually one by one did this to a few of my like the classes. And by the time like it was 8th grade, most of the courses I had like got out of. And you guys might be thinking this is like a really extreme way of doing it, but in my opinion, it was like the only option. Like I was kind of afraid to like talk to the adults there because, you know, previously I mentioned in my other video that I had some trouble trusting other people, and especially adults, considering what happened with like me and a teacher. If you guys haven't watched my other video, make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, long story short, I just didn't really trust the adults, so I just wanted to do like take control of the situation myself. So by the end of middle school, like I said earlier, I had like basically dropped out of all those extra outside of school things, and I had the time to finally, you know, just do what I enjoyed, and that was like the robot stuff. But eventually I got into building stuff on Lumber Tycoon 2, like I mentioned in the other video. And then from Lumber Tycoon 2, you guys probably know my, quote, secret project, which at the time was a YouTube channel. And I wanted to keep it a secret from my parents because I didn't really trust them after, you know, what they did to me earlier. Like, I was thinking, like, you know, when they found out about my games, they would, you know, limit me to like 10 minutes. Over time though, as I like grew older, they gave me more time. Eventually went up to like 30 minutes or something. But still, 30 minutes isn't much time to build something in Lumber Tycoon 2. Like, for context, building that jewelry store and I did in Build-A-Boat recently, that thing took like 2 hours in 4 days. So 4 days, 2 hours each day, like 8 hours total. So I wanted to keep this channel hidden from them, just like so they wouldn't really know I was doing it in the first place. And because I didn't want to risk, you know, having them just take that away from me. So I basically kept the channel hidden from them until obviously I needed like the tax stuff you need to like monetize a YouTube channel. And then by the time, you know, I reach out and say, hey, I'm gonna like monetize this thing, they're like, wait, what? And, you know, they're just like, so you're telling me you might get paid doing this thing? And they're like, sure, go for it. So there we go. I managed to get my parents on board with the idea of me starting a YouTube channel. Well, at least like, well, not really starting it, but like continue building it at this point. Because I already gotten like close to 1,000 subscribers at that point. And yeah, like, from then, my parents were completely cool with me making videos, and like they would even start to like support me making videos. And keep in mind, back then, the only thing I realized was they saw me playing games and didn't want me to do that. So I was like, the fact that they were even supporting me like making videos of me playing games, that was kind of ridiculous. And it was like absolutely amazing that somehow, some way, instead of my parents like, you know, pressuring me to stop playing games, they were like, just do it, I guess. So, having faced all of these negative experiences as a kid, it's relatively easy, like, if, you know, if you're a third, like, outside observer, to just, like, oh, blame the parents, they're too strict and stuff. But the way I see it is, don't do that. Don't, you know, be negative at negative stuff that's happened in the past. Whatever crap's already happened, has already happened. I can't, you know, time travel back and fix the stuff, because then stuff wouldn't turn out the way it is right now, and like a whole bunch of science theory, insert that here or whatever. We can't change the past. We can only change the future, and we can do that one step at a time. So final thoughts here. I know right now pretty much all of you guys are stuck at home, and some of you guys probably have really strict parents. And you know, in times like these, I don't know why parents would limit kids' free times. After all, you know, schools are either online or like completely closed. So I know I'm kind of fortunate to have like, you know, 1 million subscribers and all this stuff, but the stuff I've been through, you know, I was at one point playing games for 10 minutes a day. And the fact that I started a YouTube channel out of that is just kind of, you know, it still is like, how did I pull that off? But somehow I did, and we're here. So I just wanted to share this thing with you guys, you know, give you guys some inspiration, some hope, let you guys know you're not alone. Because, you know, to do this, I wasn't just like a random kid. I had to like, you know, get good grades and, you know, just show that I was doing well in school before my parents like gave me like more control. Okay, you have to like show some responsibility, and then your parents will give you like more control over your own life. I'm pretty sure if you do this to your parents, like show them that you're responsible and stuff, especially during like this quarantine stuff, then they'll probably give you more game time, alright? And if for some reason they're being really stubborn about it, I'd probably recommend talking to like a counselor or some professional that's certified in the field. And although I'm not like the most qualified person to like give all this advice, I still can like, you know, just give you guys some suggestions here. I know it's really tough to forget about the past. I mean, why else would I be making this video right now? The best thing to do is honestly just to forget about it, alright? Like, sure, I know it's tough, but we can't really change what's in the past. We can only change what's going to happen in the future. So go out there and do some things that will change your future for the better.